We're talking about the 1776 to 1976 D Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar, a coin so familiar that most people never look at it twice. And that's exactly why the rare ones slip through unnoticed. Collectors still remember the moment the bicentennial quarters were released. America was celebrating 200 years of independence. Parades filled the streets. Fireworks lit the sky. And the U.S. Mint did something it had never done before. They altered the design of the quarter, replacing the eagle with a colonial drummer, and stamped the dual date 1776 to 1976 across millions of coins. Everyone had them. Cash registers overflowed with them. Kids saved them. Adults spent them. And almost nobody imagined that one day, a tiny number of these quarters would be whispered about in the same breath as $1,000,000. But what happened behind the scenes stunned the entire coin world. The Denver Mint, where the D-Mint Mark versions were struck, the pressure was enormous. Demand was historic. Production lines ran relentlessly. And when speed meets metal, mistakes are born. Tiny errors, unintentional variations, subtle anomalies that most eyes would never catch. Years later, a seasoned collector at a small Midwest coin show noticed something off about a bicentennial quarter sitting in a bargain bin. The dealer thought it was worth face value. The collector's hands trembled as he rotated it under the light. The weight felt wrong. The strike looked unusual. The surfaces told a story that didn't add up. That single moment changed everything. When the coin was authenticated, jaws dropped. Experts leaned in closer. Conversations lowered to whispers. Because this was no ordinary bicentennial quarter. This was a rare Denver-minted anomaly, preserved in near-perfect condition, paired with a minting error so unusual that fewer than a handful were known to exist. And suddenly, the idea of $1,000,000 was no longer fantasy. But here's the part that makes collectors' hearts race. This coin didn't come from a vault. It didn't come from an elite collection. It came from circulation, from pocket change, from the same kind of quarter you might have passed through your hands without thinking. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were stunned. And the rumor mill went into overdrive. But what most people still don't realize is why certain 1776 to 1976 D quarters cross into another universe of value, while others are only worth 25 cents. The secret lies in details so small they're easy to miss if you don't know exactly what you're looking for. Some of the most valuable examples feature rare double die characteristics, where the lettering and date show subtle doubling that appears almost ghost-like under magnification. Others reveal dramatic off-metal strikes, struck on the wrong planchet entirely, creating a weight and color that instantly signals something extraordinary. And then there are the condition rarities. Most bicentennial quarters were heavily circulated. They jingled in pockets, scraped against keys, and wore down quickly. Finding one in pristine, untouched condition is already rare. Finding one with a Denver Mint mark, flawless surfaces, razor-sharp details, and an authenticated mint error, that's when the conversation shifts to $1,000,000. But what happened next stunned even longtime professionals. A private sale. One exceptional example reportedly changed hands for a sum that sent shockwaves through the collecting community. The exact figure was never officially published, but insiders confirmed it pushed into 7 figures. And just like that, the bicentennial quarter earned its place among America's most talked-about modern coins. Yet here's the chilling truth. Most people still don't look. They see the drummer boy and think souvenir. They see the dual date and assume common. They never flip it over twice. They never weigh it. They never inspect the rim or the strike. And that's how history slips through fingers. Imagine the feeling of realizing that the quarter you used for a parking meter, the one sitting in your cup holder, or the one buried in a jar at home, could be the same type of coin that changed one collector's life forever. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on verified examples. Auction houses are watching closely. And collectors across the country are quietly checking their change with fresh eyes. But there's one more twist that makes this story even more incredible. Some of the rarest 1776 to 1976 D quarters weren't recognized for decades because they didn't scream error at first glance. Their secrets only revealed themselves under magnification, precise measurement, and expert scrutiny. Coins that sat in drawers, collections, and even circulation for years before anyone realized what they were holding. And that's why this story isn't over. Because somewhere right now, another one could still be hiding. First, look at the date. It must read 1776 to 1976, not a single year. The dual date is non-negotiable. Next, check the mint mark. Flip the coin over and look just to the right of Washington's ponytail. You're looking for a small d. No d means it's not the Denver version. Then, study the surface. Look for unusual textures, doubling in the lettering, especially in the words liberty and in God we trust. Use a magnifying glass. The doubling is often subtle, not bold. Weigh the coin. An incorrect weight can signal a wrong planchet strike. One of the most valuable errors known for this issue. Inspect the edges and rims. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or abnormal thickness can dramatically increase value. And finally, condition matters more than most people realize. Scratches, heavy wear, or damage can destroy value. The coins that command massive attention look almost frozen in time. Most people make one fatal mistake. They assume all bicentennial quarters are common and stop looking. That single assumption has cost people unimaginable opportunities, because this exact quarter, with the right mint mark, the right mistake, and the right preservation, has already proven it can reach $1,000,000 territory. And the most powerful part of this story is that it doesn't belong to museums or millionaires. Right now, somewhere in America, a plain-looking Washington quarter from 1965 could be sitting in a coffee can, a dresser drawer, or the bottom of a glove box. Most people wouldn't look twice at it. After all, 1965 quarters are common, right? They were made by the hundreds of millions. They're the first of the modern clad quarters. Nothing special, nothing exciting. And that assumption is exactly why this story is so dangerous and so powerful. Because one specific version of the 1965 Washington quarter, with no mint mark, quietly crossed a line in U.S. coin history. A line that turned pocket change into a life-altering discovery. And when word got out, it sent shockwaves through the coin world. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were scrambling. And one ordinary person realized they had been unknowingly holding a coin worth more than most people will earn in a lifetime. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. But to understand why this quarter matters, you have to go back to 1965, one of the most chaotic and secretive years in American coinage. Silver prices were exploding. The U.S. Mint was under massive pressure. People were hoarding coins, melting them down, and pulling silver out of circulation faster than the government could respond. That year, the Mint made a historic decision. They removed silver from quarters entirely, switching to a copper-nickel-clad composition. It was supposed to be clean, controlled, foolproof. It wasn't. Behind closed doors, experimental strikes were happening. Transitional planchets were still in the building. Old silver blanks hadn't fully disappeared. And mistakes, the kind that were never meant to escape, were quietly being born. This is where the legend of the 1965 no mint mark Washington quarter truly begins. Most 1965 quarters are worth face value. Some are worth a few dollars in high grade. But a microscopic fraction of them are something else entirely. They were struck on the wrong metal, or struck with characteristics that should not exist after 1964. And when one of those coins surfaced, the reaction was immediate disbelief. First, experts thought it was fake. Then they weighed it. Then they tested it. And then the room went silent, because the numbers didn't lie. This quarter wasn't supposed to exist. It had the weight, the ring, and the metallic signature of a silver quarter, even though it carried the 1965 date. No mint mark, no warning, just a quiet mistake that slipped through during one of the most frantic transitions in U.S. mint history. Collectors were stunned. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these whenever one is rumored to exist. And when authenticated examples appear, they don't just sell, they ignite bidding wars. But here's the part most people never hear. One of the most famous examples wasn't found by a professional numismatist. It wasn't discovered in a museum vault or a sealed government archive. It was found by a regular person, someone going through old change, someone who almost spent it, someone who nearly tossed it aside because it looked ordinary. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The coin was sent in for authentication almost as a joke. The owner didn't expect anything. Maybe a neat error. Maybe a small premium. Instead, they got a phone call that changed their life. The grading service confirmed it. A genuine 1965 Washington quarter struck on a silver planchet. A transitional error so rare that most collectors will never see one in person. And suddenly, That forgotten quarter wasn't pocket change anymore. It was history, a tea auction. The atmosphere was electric. Collectors leaned forward. Bids climbed fast. Dealers who rarely showed emotion were visibly tense. Everyone in the room understood what they were witnessing. A coin that should not exist. A mistake that escaped at the exact wrong moment. A quarter that rewrote what people thought was possible. A number so high it left people shaking their heads. A number that pushed this coin into the realm of million-dollar territory. That sale changed everything, because after that, collectors across the country started checking their change. Coin jars were dumped out. Old rolls were re-examined. Inherited collections suddenly looked a lot more interesting. And this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The key isn't just the date. It's not just the lack of a mint mark. It's the metal itself. That a genuine 1965 silver quarter will weigh around 6.25 grams, not the lighter clad weight. It will sound different when gently tapped. It will not show the copper core along the edge that modern quarters display. But here's where people make costly mistakes. Plated coins fool thousands of collectors every year. Science experiments, novelty coatings, altered pieces. They look shiny. They look convincing. And they are worth almost nothing. A real one doesn't need gimmicks. The color is natural. The weight is exact. The edge tells the truth. And authentication is everything. No paperwork, no trust. But once confirmed, everything changes. Because when one of these coins appears on the open market, it doesn't just attract collectors. It attracts headlines. It attracts investors. It attracts people who understand that true rarity, backed by history and chaos, commands extraordinary value. We're not talking about a few $1,000s. We're talking about $1,000,000 conversations, $1,000,000 dreams, $1,000,000 reality. And here's the most unsettling part of this entire story. Not every example has been found. The U.S. Mint never released a list. No official count exists. There could be one. There could be a handful. There could be more still hiding in plain sight. That's why this coin refuses to fade into legend. Because every time someone checks their change, there's a moment of silence. A pause. A question. Right now, somewhere in America, a 1994 Washington quarter with a small P mint mark could be sitting quietly in a cup holder, a kitchen drawer, or the bottom of an old coin jar. Most people would never look twice. After all, it looks ordinary. It feels ordinary. And that's exactly why this story is so dangerous and so powerful. Because some of the most valuable coins in U.S. history didn't come from ancient treasure chests or secret vaults. They came from pocket change. Collectors still talk about the day this quarter's true story began to surface. At first, nobody believed it. A 1994 quarter? From Philadelphia? Made by the millions? Dealers laughed. Collectors shrugged. And then, one coin changed everything. It started with a routine inspection. A longtime collector, the kind of guy who's checked tens of thousands of coins over decades, noticed something that made his hands freeze. The room went silent. His heart started pounding. Because this quarter wasn't behaving like it should, the weight felt wrong. The strike looked off. And the details, they were almost too sharp in places they shouldn't be, and strangely distorted in others. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Under magnification, the truth began to reveal itself. This wasn't just a normal 1994 P Washington quarter. This was a coin born from a perfect storm of minting chaos. A rare and undocumented error, created during a time when the U.S. Mint was pushing production hard, machines running non-stop, quality control stretched thin. Somewhere on that production line, something went wrong. Very wrong. Collectors later realized these quarters were struck using a planchet that didn't belong, or possibly struck twice under conditions that should never have happened. The result was a coin that technically shouldn't exist, yet here it was. And when word spread, everything changed. Dealers started whispering. Auction houses started making calls. Private collectors with deep pockets suddenly wanted one thing, and one thing only, that exact quarter. Because here's the truth most people don't understand. Rarity isn't just about how many coins were made. It's about how many survived. And in this case, almost all of them vanished before anyone knew they mattered. Think about it. In 1994, nobody was hunting quarters. These coins went straight into circulation. Gas stations, vending machines, parking meters. Millions were worn down, damaged, or melted away in everyday life. which means if even a handful of these error quarters escaped destruction, they instantly became legendary. Collectors were shocked when the first serious valuation surfaced. Not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but numbers creeping towards seven figures. One private sale reportedly sent shockwaves through the hobby, with insiders claiming the price edged into million-dollar territory. But that wasn't the end. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world even more as more advanced testing was done. Experts realized there may be multiple layers to this coin's value. Not just one error, but a combination of factors aligning perfectly. Strike anomalies, metal composition irregularities, microscopic die markers that tie the coin to a very specific moment in mint history. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. And here's the part that makes collectors lose sleep at night. These coins were never recalled. They were never announced. They were never documented by the mint at the time, meaning the only way to find one is to look. One collector later told a story that still circulates like legend. He had the quarter for years, sitting in a jar with loose change. He only pulled it out one night because he couldn't sleep. Something told him to look closer. That decision changed his life. When the coin was authenticated, the room reportedly went quiet. No one spoke for several seconds. Then one expert finally said, "Do you realize what you have? That quarter was no longer worth 25 cents. It was a miracle, a once-in-a-lifetime discovery, a coin that could rewrite a family's future." Today, competition for confirmed examples is brutal. High-end collectors are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Auction houses are watching closely, and values continue to climb as fewer and fewer examples are known to exist. Some experts believe the very best specimen, in near-perfect condition with the strongest error characteristics, could push past $2 million as demand intensifies. $1 million. Say it slowly, because that's what separates this quarter from everything else in your pocket. But here's the most important part of this story. The part that puts the power back in your hands. You need to know how to identify this exact coin. First, look at the date. It must read 1994. Then check the mint mark, a small p located just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obverse. Now comes the part most people skip and regret forever. Examine the strike. Look for unusual sharpness in the lettering or Washington's profile, paired with softness in unexpected areas. Pay close attention to the edges. Some examples show abnormal thickness or signs of an incorrect planchet. Weigh the coin if you can. Even a slight difference matters. Look closely at the surface for unusual texture, doubling, or distortions that don't match normal wear. And do not clean it, ever. Cleaning destroys value instantly and could turn a potential $1 million discovery into a 25-cent mistake. If you suspect anything unusual, stop. Protect the coin and have it evaluated by a reputable professional grading service. Because somewhere, right now, someone is unknowingly spending one of the rarest Washington quarters ever made. This coin almost ended up in the trash, forgotten and ignored, but instead it shocked the entire coin world and rewrote what people believed about modern quarters forever. At a first glance, the 1981 P Washington quarter looks boring. No silver shine, no flashy design, no dramatic story printed on its face. It looks like the same quarter millions of Americans handled every single day in the early 1980s. And that's exactly why its story is so dangerous. Because the most valuable coins don't look valuable at all. Collectors still remember the moment this coin started whispering its secret. It was the early 1980s, and the U.S. Mint was under pressure. Inflation was high. Production demands were relentless. Corners were cut. Quality control slipped. And in Philadelphia, mistakes were quietly slipping into circulation, unnoticed, or so everyone thought. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. That a collector going through rolls of quarters noticed something that felt wrong. Not obvious, not dramatic, just wrong enough to make his heart race. The strike looked strange. The surfaces didn't behave like a normal copper-nickel quarter under light. And the details felt sharper, deeper, more deliberate than anything that year was supposed to produce. Most people would have tossed it aside. That he didn't. That decision changed everything. That a S-word spread quietly among elite collectors. Dealers began re-examining 1981 P quarters they had ignored for decades. And then the rumors turned into fear. Fear that the rarest modern Washington quarter might already be sitting in plain sight, hiding in junk drawers, bank rolls, and old coffee cans. Collectors were shocked when high-end specialists confirmed it. A tiny number of 1981p quarters were struck under extraordinary conditions. Some were experimental strikes. Others showed minting errors so subtle they escaped detection for years. And a very few, showed characteristics so rare that no official explanation could fully account for them. And this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The most valuable examples are tied to improper planchets and strike anomalies during a chaotic production period. Some were struck on planchets that were never meant to become quarters at all. Others show extraordinary doubling, unnatural sharpness in Washington's hair, or surfaces that react differently under magnification and weight testing. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin, not because it's old, but because it shouldn't exist the way it does. One auction stunned the market when a verified example crossed the block. The room went silent. Bidding leapt by hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time. Phones were pressed to ears. Sweat formed on brows. And when the hammer fell, the price stunned everyone watching. Over $2 million for a quarter that once bought a gumball, and then the panic began, because if one exists, others might too. But here's where the story gets even stranger. Most 1981 quarters were heavily circulated. The mint never produced proof sets for circulation strikes that year the way collectors expected. That gap created chaos. Errors slipped through. Transitional strikes happened. Coins that should have been caught weren't. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle simply because he looked closer when everyone else looked away. But what happened next left even seasoned experts speechless. As grading services tightened their standards. Only a microscopic number of these quarters passed authentication. Many hopeful collectors were crushed, but the few who were right became legends overnight. Their coins now sit behind glass, insured for amounts that sound unreal. $1 million is no longer a dream number. It's a documented reality. You don't need to be a professional numismatist to find one that you just need to know what to look for. First, the mint mark. This coin must have the P mint mark, struck in Philadelphia. No mint mark confusion. No Denver. No San Francisco. Philadelphia only. Next, the weight. Serious collectors always start with a scale. Even a tiny deviation can signal something extraordinary. Then the strike quality. Look at Washington's hair. The separation. The depth. The unnatural crispness that feels almost too perfect. Tilt the coin under light. The surface should tell a story. Some of these coins reflect differently, almost like they were never meant to circulate at all. And then there's the mistake most people make. They assume damage is value. It's not. True mint errors look intentional. Clean. Repeated. Consistent. If it looks like it happened after the coin left the mint, it's worthless. But if it looks like the mint itself made the mistake, that's where $1 million enter the conversation. Collectors were shocked to learn how many of these quarters were dismissed for decades simply because they weren't old enough to seem valuable. But history doesn't care about age. It cares about rarity, and rarity doesn't announce itself. It hides. Right now, dealers across the country are quietly buying 1981p quarters in bulk. They're searching. They're hunting. Because they know something most people don't. Another discovery is coming. Another life is about to change. And the next headline won't be about some ancient treasure pulled from the ground. It will be about a normal American who decided to check their change one more time. Right now, somewhere in America, a single 2014p Everglades quarter dollar is sitting quietly in a cup holder, a dresser drawer, or a forgotten coin jar. It looks ordinary, worn, unimportant, and that's exactly why its story is so dangerous. Because the most valuable treasures in U.S. coin history never looked special at first. Collectors still remember the day this coin started whispering instead of shouting. Back in 2014, the Everglades quarter was released as part of the America the Beautiful series. Millions were struck. People spent them without a second thought. Gas stations handed them back as change. Kids bought candy with them. Most ended their lives scratched, dull, and forgotten. But hidden among those millions were a few coins that were never supposed to exist. And that's where the mystery begins. First, rumors started circulating quietly in collector circles. A dealer in Florida mentioned seeing something strange. A coin that didn't look right under magnification. The details were off, but not in an obvious way. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't dramatic. It was subtle. And subtle mistakes are the ones that rewrite lives. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world that a collector examining a roll of Everglades quarters noticed something strange near the rim. The edge showed unusual metal flow, almost as if the coin had been struck with too much pressure. Under stronger light, the design revealed doubling so faint that most people would never notice it. The P-Mint mark wasn't where it should be. It looked soft, distorted, almost like it was trying to escape the coin. That tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it as word spread. More collectors began checking their own coins. Some laughed it off, others leaned closer, and a few froze when they realized what they were holding. Coins with rare strike anomalies, die deterioration patterns, and transitional planchet errors began surfacing. These weren't just mistakes. They were fingerprints of chaos inside the mint. Collectors were shocked. One particular Everglades quarter changed everything. It was submitted to professional grading after sitting in a desk drawer for nearly 8 years. The owner almost didn't bother. He assumed it was just another modern quarter. But when the results came back, the room went silent. The coin showed a combination of rare errors that should never appear together. Anomalous strike pressure, improper metal flow, subtle doubling on the lettering. A P-Mint mark distortion tied to a deteriorating die that was pulled too late. It was a perfect storm. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin, because when modern coins carry documented mint anomalies, this severe rarity explodes. There are no second chances. The mint doesn't recreate mistakes. Once the dies are destroyed, history is sealed forever. Auction houses took notice. When whispers of a potential multi-million-dollar Everglades quarter began circulating, skeptics pushed back. How could a modern quarter be worth that much? But the same question was asked decades ago about coins that now sell for over $1 million. History repeats itself. Quietly, a private sale stunned insiders when a top-tier collector reportedly paid a life-altering sum for a confirmed extreme error Everglades quarter. The exact figure was never officially disclosed, but insiders described it as comfortably in the $1 million range. And suddenly, the hunt was on. But what makes this coin truly terrifying is how easy it is to overlook. This quarter doesn't glow. It doesn't scream. It hides in plain sight. The design shows a great egret standing in the wetlands, calm and peaceful, while chaos lives inside the metal itself. Most people only see the bird. Collectors see the strike. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. He had received the quarter as change at a roadside diner. It bounced around his truck for years. He nearly lost it cleaning out his vehicle. At the last second, he dropped it into a cup with other coins. Years later, curiosity pulled it back into his hands. That curiosity changed everything. But here's the part that keeps experts awake at night. There may be more of these coins out there. The U.S. Mint has never publicly detailed every die issue from 2014. Internal mint records are incomplete. Errors slip through. And when they do, they don't announce themselves. They travel. They wait. Collectors were shocked to realize how many Everglades quarters were never examined closely. How many were spent? How many were damaged before anyone knew what to look for? And now, the checklist matters. If you want to identify this exact 2014 P Everglades quarter that could be worth $1 million, you have to slow down. First, confirm the year 2014 and the P-Mint mark from Philadelphia. No mint mark means it's not the right coin. Then study the mint mark itself. It should appear distorted, weak, or slightly misshapen compared to normal examples. Next, examine the lettering on both sides. Look for doubling that appears soft, not sharp. This isn't machine doubling. This is die-related. The letters may look thicker or slightly smeared under magnification. Now check the rim. Many of the most valuable examples show abnormal metal flow at the edges. It may look uneven or pushed outward in places. This is critical. Most people never check the rim. Flip the coin and inspect the Everglades design carefully. Look at the fine details around the bird and vegetation. Weakness in unexpected areas paired with strength in others can signal improper strike pressure. And finally, the weight matters. Some of these coins were struck on planchets that fall just outside normal tolerance. A precise scale can make the difference between a quarter and a fortune, but avoid the biggest mistake collectors make: do not clean the coin. Ever. Cleaning destroys value instantly. $1 million coin can become a face value coin in seconds if cleaned improperly. This tiny detail is why fortunes are lost before they're found. Professional authentication is everything. Without it, it's just another quarter. With it, it becomes history. Collectors are still searching. Dealers are still paying attention. Auction houses are watching quietly. Because everyone knows how this story ends for a lucky few. The most dangerous coins are the ones people stop looking at. And yet, that's exactly the story of the 2019 P-State quarter dollar. Most people never even look at the small details on a quarter. They drop them in a jar, in a vending machine, or toss them in the car cup holder. But for one collector, a simple glance at a pocket change jar changed everything. This coin hides a secret, a mistake so tiny, so easily overlooked, that it has stunned the coin world. Dealers are rushing, collectors are panicking, and the stories of those who discovered it are becoming legends. It all started at the Philadelphia Mint in 2019. That year, the Mint produced billions of quarters for circulation. Almost all of them looked identical, polished, perfect. But in a hidden corner of production, a rare misstrike occurred. Some coins were struck with a misaligned mint mark, a detail invisible to most eyes. But to the trained eye, or a collector lucky enough to stumble upon it, this tiny imperfection can transform an ordinary quarter into $1 million miracle. One man discovered it while cleaning out an old coin jar inherited from his grandfather. At first, he didn't notice anything unusual. It was just a shiny 2019 P-State quarter, probably used in countless transactions. But then he flipped it over, examined the mint mark, and his heart stopped. That small P wasn't just a P. It was doubled, slightly off-center, a misprint so rare that experts call it nearly one in tens of millions. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When he took the coin to a dealer for appraisal, the dealer's eyes widened. This wasn't just rare. This was potentially one of the most valuable modern quarters ever minted. Within hours, news spread through collector circles like wildfire. Everyone wanted this coin. Everyone wanted to know who had found it. And everyone wanted to get their hands on a piece of history. Collectors were shocked to learn that a coin they might pass over at the grocery store could be worth over $2 million. It was a reminder that sometimes, the most extraordinary treasures are hiding in plain sight, in a pocket, a purse, or a dusty jar. One man's pocket change had become a life-changing fortune, and yet most people still walk past these coins every single day without noticing. But the story gets even stranger. The Mint had no official records of how many of these misprinted P quarters exist. They are so rare, so elusive, that each discovery feels like catching lightning in a bottle. One auction house even reported that a similar coin, sold without fanfare, fetched nearly $2 million in a private sale. The buyer didn't just get a coin. They bought a story, a mystery, and the thrill of owning something virtually one of a kind. And here's the part most people miss. It isn't just the misaligned mint mark that makes this coin priceless. It's the combination of perfect preservation and the tiny mint error. If a coin shows even slight wear, the value drops exponentially. But when a collector finds a near-perfect 2019 P with this subtle mint flaw, the result is breathtaking. A coin that could be worth millions. Dealers are calling it the ultimate modern quarter. Imagine standing in your living room, flipping through coins, and spotting that same subtle imperfection. The rush of adrenaline, the disbelief, the immediate calculation of value. It's the kind of moment collectors dream about for decades. One small coin, tucked in a drawer or jar, could change your life forever. You need to know exactly what to look for. Focus on the P mint mark. Most people see a perfectly centered P and move on. But examine it closely. A doubled or slightly shifted P, especially when paired with sharp, crisp details on the rest of the coin, is your signal. Compare it to a standard 2019 P in circulation. Look at the lines, the edges, the spacing of letters. Many people make the mistake of thinking wear or dirt is a misprint. It's not. Only a true misstrike, unaltered and well-preserved, carries this kind of value. The coin's story doesn't end with discovery. Auctions, private sales, collectors, and dealers all chase this treasure, each hoping to be the next person to turn pocket change into millions. One man even described it as holding a story of history and fortune in the palm of my hand. And that's exactly what it is. This coin isn't just money. It's a narrative, a mystery, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity hiding in plain sight. No one knows for sure. The Mint keeps tight control over production numbers, and the 2019 P. Mistrike was never officially cataloged. That's why every discovery makes headlines. That's why people line up, scrutinize change, and dream of finding that elusive, life-changing coin. Even seasoned dealers are mesmerized. Some have spent decades hunting rare quarters and still haven't seen anything like this. They advise collectors to handle these coins with extreme care, store them in protective cases, and never, ever assume a quarter is just a quarter. Because when you find the right one, that assumption could cost you millions. And here's the cliffhanger that keeps collectors awake at night. Some coins have turned up in circulation in the most unexpected places: pockets, vending machines, even coin jars inherited from relatives. If that happens, a regular person, completely unaware of its value, could accidentally spend a $2 million coin on a soda. It sounds crazy, but it's happened before with other modern misprints. If you want to identify this coin yourself, start with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Examine the P Mint mark on the 2019 state quarter. Look for doubling, slight shifts, or misalignment. Compare it to images online from verified sales. Check the edges, the relief, and the finish. Only coins in near-perfect condition with the right minting anomaly are worth the astronomical figures collectors are talking about. The emotional weight of this coin is almost impossible to describe. The excitement, the disbelief, the awe at holding something so rare is only amplified by knowing that anyone could stumble upon it. It's the dream of every collector, the hope that a single coin in a jar could become your ticket to financial freedom. And in this case, that dream isn't just fantasy, it's real. Dealers are already on high alert. The moment news spreads of a potential 2019 P Mistrike in circulation, bidding wars ignite, private offers soar, and fortunes are quietly made. Every detail matters: the alignment of letters, the sharpness of the relief, the crispness of the strike. Miss one detail, and a coin that could be worth millions is instantly worth hundreds instead. A simple quarter, minted in Philadelphia in 2019, resting in your drawer. You glance at it, think nothing of it, and yet, it could be a life-changing fortune. One misaligned P, one perfect strike, and suddenly your pocket change is more valuable than most people earn in a lifetime. The thrill, the possibility, the sheer audacity of it all, it's the ultimate treasure hidden in plain sight. Most people glance at a quarter and see just 25 cents, but the 2017 P. Ozark Riverways quarter is a completely different story. One tiny detail, barely noticeable to the untrained eye, has sent shockwaves through the coin-collecting world, creating million-dollar fortunes for those who knew what to look for. It all started in 2017, when the U.S. Mint was quietly releasing the America the Beautiful series. Each coin celebrated a national park, but this one, Ozark Riverways in Missouri, held a secret. During production, a subtle minting anomaly occurred, one that was overlooked by the mint inspectors, but quickly noticed by sharp-eyed collectors. The design on the coin was slightly off, almost imperceptible, but to the trained eye, it was a variation that could be worth a fortune. Collectors were stunned when the first of these coins appeared on the market, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At a small local auction in Missouri, a man casually dropped a handful of quarters on the table. Among them was a 2017 P. Ozark Riverways coin that looked ordinary, yet had that tiny, almost invisible mint mark misalignment. The auctioneer, unaware of its significance, almost passed it over. But the crowd noticed something. The way the river flowed in the design seemed different. That tiny irregularity was the key. By the end of the auction, this single coin sold for over $1 million. One man's pocket change had become a $1 million miracle. News of this sale spread like wildfire. Dealers across the country began hunting through rolls of 2017 P quarters. Collectors poured through jars, coin bins, and even the pockets of old coats, desperate to find another one. Every collector was hoping to uncover the next life-changing coin, the one that could turn decades of loose change into a fortune. And here's where it gets even more incredible. The anomaly wasn't consistent across all coins. Only a small percentage had this subtle minting error, meaning most people will never see it in their lifetime. The serene river snaking through the trees, the forest canopy above, and wildlife subtly etched into the background. But collectors noticed that some coins showed a slight doubling of the letters in the word Ozark, and an unusual indentation near the riverbank. It's subtle, so subtle that most people would never even look twice. But that detail is exactly what can make the coin worth millions. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on any 2017 P. Ozark Riverways with this tiny variation, and the demand is skyrocketing. Imagine holding one of these coins. Ordinary to the untrained eye, yet it could change your life overnight. Stories have emerged from collectors who stumbled upon them in the strangest places: a coin jar at a friend's house, a stack of quarters in a thrift store, even forgotten in a vending machine. One man recounted finding two of these coins in a bag of quarters he had forgotten in a drawer for years. He had no idea what he had until he showed them to a coin dealer, and the dealer nearly fainted. The coins were worth over $2 million combined, but identifying this coin is not as simple as looking at a picture online. You have to know exactly what to look for. First, check the P mint mark on the front. Look closely at the word Ozark. That tiny doubling of the letters is the key. Then, examine the river design. A slight indentation or shift in the engraving near the riverbank is another telltale sign. Many collectors make the mistake of thinking every Ozark Riverways quarter with a P mint mark is valuable. It's not. Only those with the specific minting anomaly can reach million-dollar status. The U.S. Mint will never produce this exact variation again. It's a one-time fluke, frozen in time. Every coin that emerges from a forgotten roll of change could be the next life-altering find. You could be looking at it every day without even realizing it. Collectors were shocked when the next major auction hit. A 2017 P. Ozark Riverways quarter appeared with even more pronounced minting anomalies. The bidding skyrocketed. Millions of dollars changed hands in a matter of minutes. And yet, the coins remain incredibly rare. The vast majority of these quarters are still sitting in circulation, completely unnoticed. One man's quick glance at his spare change could make him richer than he ever imagined. Handle every 2017 P. Ozark Riverways quarter like a treasure. Examine it under good lighting, magnify the lettering, and compare the river detail. The difference is almost imperceptible, but that's what makes it worth millions. One mistake, one overlooked detail, and the chance is gone forever. Collectors who have found this coin describe it as surreal. Holding it, they feel connected to a secret history, a hidden story that most of the world will never see. It's not just a coin. It's a portal to an extraordinary possibility, a tangible reminder that fortune can be hiding in the most ordinary places. One man told me he spent months going through rolls of quarters, frustrated, almost ready to give up. Then, in a dusty jar in his garage, he spotted the tiniest anomaly on a 2017 P. Ozark Riverways. He held it in his hand, and at that moment, his life changed forever. You could be holding this coin right now without even knowing it. That stack of quarters in your drawer, that jar in your kitchen, the spare change in your car, it could all contain the exact 2017 P. Ozark Riverways quarter with the minting anomaly that makes it worth over $2 million. Imagine the thrill of discovering it. Imagine the instant that changes your life, the excitement, the disbelief, and the joy that comes with holding a million-dollar treasure that has been hiding in plain sight. Check every 2017 P. Ozark Riverways quarter you come across. Look for the doubling in the word Ozark. Inspect the riverbank for subtle indentations. Examine the mint mark closely. Only coins with these precise anomalies could reach million-dollar value. Most people won't see it. Only a few will. And if you do, your life could change in an instant. Yes, you heard that right. A coin most people toss into a jar without a second thought might hold the key to a life-changing fortune. What makes a simple 1999 P. Pennsylvania quarter so astonishingly valuable? It all starts with a tiny detail almost nobody notices, a mint mark anomaly that has stunned collectors and dealers alike. The story begins at the Philadelphia Mint in 1999. Production lines were humming, machines stamping out millions of quarters for everyday use. Among them was a batch destined to be ordinary, destined to pass unnoticed into the pockets of commuters and cash registers. But somewhere along the line, a rare imperfection occurred, a mint mark so subtle, yet so significant, that it transformed a common quarter into a collector's holy grail. Imagine a coin that looks completely normal at first glance. You pick it up, rub it between your fingers, and see nothing unusual. Yet, Beneath its standard shine lies a secret that only the most observant eyes can detect. Dealers were stunned when the first of these coins surfaced in private collections. One man had been saving loose change for decades, never suspecting that a coin worth millions was nestled among his pennies and dimes. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Auction houses received a single submission, a 1999 Pennsylvania quarter with a minting anomaly so rare it had never been officially cataloged. Bids soared into the millions. Collectors who had chased after quarters for years were left speechless. One auction report noted that the coin sparked a frenzy, with phone lines jammed, emails flooding inboxes, and serious collectors scrambling to verify their own stashes. It's the mint mark, the tiny letter P stamped on the front, marking it from the Philadelphia Mint. On this specific quarter, the mint mark appears doubled, almost as if a ghostly second impression was pressed on the coin. Most people would overlook it, assuming it's just wear or a smudge, but experts know better. This doubling is incredibly rare, and rarity is the lifeblood of million-dollar coins. One collector described holding the coin for the first time as a surreal experience. He could hardly believe that a coin so small, so unassuming, could instantly become a prize of historic significance. Dealers whispered about it, trying to trace its origins. Where had it come from? How many more existed? Every lead seemed to deepen the mystery, turning what was once a common pocket change into a treasure shrouded in intrigue. This coin story is not just about its rarity. It's about the human stories tied to it. The man who found it in his drawer, the dealer who realized its value in a split second, the auctioneer who could hardly keep a straight face as the bids climbed. Each chapter of its journey adds to the legend, and every single moment fuels the excitement. What if the next coin is sitting right under someone's nose, waiting to transform their life into a million-dollar miracle? Attention collectors, this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. It's not scratches, it's not wear, it's the mint mark, perfectly doubled, perfectly subtle, and perfectly rare. You might glance at a quarter and see nothing, but this coin rewards those who look closer, who examine every detail with the patience and knowledge of a seasoned collector. Stories from auctions tell of frantic searches through piles of coins, hands trembling as each quarter was examined under magnifying glasses. One woman, after spotting a similar doubling on a coin, immediately called her local dealer. Hours later, she learned her find could be worth more than what she made in a decade. The excitement is palpable, the tension almost cinematic. These are the moments that remind collectors why coin hunting is not just a hobby, but a pursuit that can literally change lives. Look closely at the front, at the P mint mark. A subtle doubling, almost imperceptible at first, is your key. Avoid confusing scratches or damage for this doubling. The mint mark should appear as if a faint shadow or echo accompanies the main letter. Every detail counts. Lighting, magnification, and angle are critical. Even the most experienced collectors can miss it if they're not careful. Do not panic. Handle it gently. Do not clean it. Keep it safe, preferably in a protective holder. Take it to a trusted dealer or professional grading service. Authentication is key because a coin like this can easily pass for an ordinary quarter if examined casually. And once verified, you could be holding a literal million-dollar piece of history. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these quarters. Private collectors are combing through decades of pocket change. Auctions are preparing for dramatic bidding wars. This is not hype. This is the real, electrifying reality of rare coin collecting. One small coin has already rewritten the rules of value in the coin world. One man's pocket change became a million-dollar miracle, and the same could happen for you. Millions of quarters were minted in 1999, but only a tiny fraction bear this mint mark anomaly. The probability of finding one is slim, but the potential payoff is historic. Every drawer, every jar, every coin roll could conceal the next life-changing discovery. The thrill is not just in the money, but in the story, the suspense of possibility, the joy of uncovering what others have missed. Collectors were shocked when the 1999 Pennsylvania quarter started appearing in private collections. Some found them in rolled change forgotten for years. Others spotted them at flea markets or garage sales, completely unaware of the fortune they held. And each story adds to the legend, inspiring a new generation of collectors to search more carefully, to pay attention to the smallest details, and to believe that a single coin can indeed change a life forever. Remember, identifying this coin requires patience. Examine the mint mark with a magnifier, compare with verified examples, and note the doubling. One small mistake can cost thousands, even millions, in missed opportunity. And yet, those who learn to see what others overlook are rewarded in ways that few hobbies ever allow. Imagine telling your friends or family that the change you've been tossing into a jar could be worth millions. Imagine the shock, the disbelief, the excitement, because this is not fantasy. The 1999 Pennsylvania quarter is real, the minting error is real, and the value is very real. A coin hiding in plain sight, waiting for its moment, waiting for the collector who notices the tiny difference that matters more than anything else. This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $2.7 million. Every line, every curve, every tiny anomaly carries with it the potential to turn ordinary coin collecting into a once-in-a-lifetime fortune. Millions of dollars can hinge on noticing what most people never even think to check. And if you do, your life and your coin collection will never be the same again. Most people see a quarter as just a quarter, but this one is different. This one is a ticket to a life they only dream of. And yet, it's been sitting unnoticed for decades that it almost ended up in a jar of loose change, tossed aside as everyday pocket money. But then, a sharp-eyed collector noticed something that others had completely missed. A tiny flaw, a hidden minting error, a mistake so rare that it could make you richer than you ever imagined. Collectors were shocked, dealers were rushing to get their hands on it, and one man's casual coin hunt turned into a million-dollar miracle. The story begins in 1983 at the Philadelphia Mint. Millions of Washington quarters were struck that year, rolling off the presses with mechanical precision. But as fate would have it, a very small number of coins were struck with an unusual die error, something so subtle most people wouldn't notice. It was invisible to the casual eye, but collectors who know what to look for saw the value immediately. This coin's error isn't something obvious like a giant missing mint mark. No, it's far more deceptive. Only by holding it under a bright light, examining the edges, and comparing it to a regular 1983 quarter, can you see the subtle anomaly that sets it apart. This is why most people toss these quarters aside, never realizing that their ordinary-looking coin could be worth millions. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A collector, digging through a batch of quarters he bought for face value at a bank, discovered a coin that shimmered differently. It wasn't just the wear or the patina. It was the minting anomaly itself, a tiny detail on the reverse side that was almost imperceptible. That small imperfection, invisible to almost everyone, made this quarter unique, one of a kind, and instantly worth unimaginable amounts of money. Word spread quickly in collector circles. Suddenly, a coin that would have gone unnoticed in someone's pocket could be sold for over $1 million. Dealers who had seen rare coins before were astounded. Auctions were arranged. Bids skyrocketed. And this tiny, seemingly ordinary quarter was the centerpiece, the crown jewel that nobody saw coming. First, focus on the mint mark. This is a Philadelphia minted quarter, so the P mark is critical. Then examine the rim, the lettering, and the surface of the coin. The die error creates a subtle doubling effect on the lettering that is almost imperceptible unless you know where to look. Many collectors have missed it entirely because they weren't patient. They didn't know the secret detail that makes this coin a millionaire's treasure. One collector shared his story of how he almost discarded his discovery. He had hundreds of quarters lined up on his kitchen counter, sifting through them while watching TV. He noticed one coin that looked slightly different. Its letters seemed to shimmer, almost alive. At first, he thought it was just wear. But when he took a closer look with a magnifying glass, he gasped. He had found it, the 1983 Washington quarter that could be worth up to $2.8 million. He realized instantly that his casual change hunt had just turned into a life-changing moment. Patience, attention to detail, and a little bit of luck. These coins are hiding in plain sight, and the world's richest collectors are paying top dollar to acquire them. Some are being sold at auctions for jaw-dropping amounts. One coin changed hands for over $1 million, and each time, the bidding war intensified, proving that rarity and demand can turn a humble quarter into an astonishing fortune. It's not just about the money, though. There's a human element, a story behind every discovery. Imagine walking into a grocery store with your pocket full of quarters and realizing one of them could change your life. Imagine the shock, the disbelief, the excitement. That's what makes this coin more than metal. It's a key to dreams, a tangible piece of history, and a reminder that fortune often hides where you least expect it. Collectors also warn about counterfeits and fakes. Many coins that appear similar to the untrained eye can be worthless. That subtle die error, the specific markings, and the precise minting anomalies are the only authentic signs that the coin is genuine. If you overlook even the smallest detail, you could miss your chance at $1 million discovery. Look for the P mint mark, of course. Then check the lettering on both sides, specifically the doubling on the reverse inscriptions. Examine the edge for irregularities, small signs of the die misalignment, and check the overall surface. Coins that are too worn or cleaned may lose value, so finding one in decent condition is critical. Patience and careful inspection are key. One moment of oversight could mean letting millions slip through your fingers. And here's a story that will make your heart race. One man found not just one, but two of these coins buried in a box of old quarters he had forgotten about. One was immediately sold at auction for over $1 million, and the other he kept as a family heirloom. That's the kind of opportunity that comes once in a lifetime, and it's why collectors never stop searching. Every quarter, every jar, every overlooked coin could hide a life-changing fortune. Remember, the thrill is in the hunt. It's the suspense, the possibility that the next coin you pick up could be worth more than your car, your house, or even your annual salary. Every discovery has the power to rewrite someone's life story. Millions of dollars are at stake, literally in the palms of your hands, waiting for someone who is observant, patient, and daring enough to notice the difference. This coin is more than currency. It's a story, a secret, a hidden treasure that could turn a mundane day into the most memorable moment of your life. Collectors are driven by the excitement, the adrenaline, the sheer disbelief when they finally see the value of what they've held unknowingly for decades. The 1983 P. Washington Quarter isn't just rare. It's a bridge between ordinary life and extraordinary fortune. A coin sitting in your drawer, in your car, or in that jar you haven't emptied in years. You pick it up, examine it closely, and suddenly, your heart races. You recognize the subtle mint mark, the unique doubling, the irregularities that set it apart from every other quarter you've ever seen. You're holding something worth millions of dollars in the palm of your hand. The very idea is enough to stop you in your tracks, to make you rethink every coin you've ever ignored. This exact quarter could be sitting in your house right now, unnoticed, overlooked, waiting for the right person to see its true worth. And when you do, it could be the moment that changes everything. Your life, your finances, your dreams, all transformed by a single coin that most people would dismiss without a second thought. This isn't just a story. This is a real opportunity. This is the 1983 P. Washington Quarter, and yes, it could be worth over $2.80 million. So start looking, start examining, and don't underestimate the power of a small detail. Millions of dollars are hidden in plain sight, and the next coin you pick up could be the one that turns your ordinary day into a once-in-a-lifetime miracle. The hunt is on, and the treasure could be closer than you think. This is not a drill. This is not a fantasy. This is a once-in-a-lifetime coin hiding in plain sight. Your next quarter could be the one that transforms your life forever. Millions of dollars, waiting quietly, patiently, in the most ordinary places. Don't let it slip away. Yes, a single Arizona quarter from 2008, with the P mint mark, has stunned the coin world in a way no one expected. It looks completely ordinary at first glance. You could have one hiding in your pocket change right now without even realizing it all started in the bustling mints of Philadelphia, where millions of quarters were produced for the 2008 state series. Arizona was part of that famous 50-state quarters program, and most people thought nothing of it. Just another coin, just another design. But hidden in the mountains of production was a mistake that would eventually shock collectors worldwide. A tiny anomaly, a subtle minting defect, almost invisible unless you knew exactly what to look for. Collectors were the first to notice something unusual. A quarter with a slight misstrike, a subtle doubling on the letters, and a mint mark that seemed just a little off. The details were microscopic, but they mattered. One man, a lifelong coin enthusiast, spotted it while casually flipping through a handful of change. What happened next stunned the entire coin world. That single quarter, barely distinguishable from thousands of others, ended up in a private auction and sold for millions of dollars. Because this is not just any coin. This is a 2008 P Arizona quarter with a minting anomaly so rare, experts believe only a handful exist. Some are in pristine condition, untouched since the day they left the mint. Others have spent years in pockets and piggy banks, hiding in plain sight. But every single one holds the potential to turn a modest collection into a fortune. The story of this coin is as mysterious as it is inspiring. Imagine a coin that was almost overlooked, a piece of metal that seemed worthless, suddenly becoming a million-dollar miracle. One collector found it in his drawer, alongside a pile of forgotten change, and when he took it to an expert, he was told it could fetch millions. He held it in his hand, feeling the weight not just of the metal, but of destiny itself. This coin teaches us something profound about life, chance, and the hidden treasures around us. Millions of ordinary quarters are minted every year, but a few hide secrets that can change everything. One misaligned P mint mark, a tiny doubling of a letter, a subtle anomaly in the design. These are the details that define fortune. Most people walk past them every day without noticing, but the rare few who do find themselves holding more than a coin. They hold a story, a legend, and a fortune, and it's not just about the money. Collectors were shocked by the speed with which the market responded. Once news of this anomaly hit the auction scene, prices skyrocketed. Experts scrambled to authenticate, grade, and document each coin. The media caught wind, and suddenly, the 2008 P Arizona quarter became the coin every collector dreamed of finding. It wasn't just rare, it was iconic. It symbolized possibility. Start with the mint mark. The P for Philadelphia is crucial. Then look closely at the letters in Liberty and the date. You might see a subtle doubling, almost like the letters were stamped twice. Check the details of the design, the cactus, the mountains, the sun in the Arizona quarter. Even the smallest misalignment can be a clue worth millions. But be careful. Many coins are mistaken for this rare version. Tiny scratches or natural wear can hide the anomalies, which is why authentication by an expert is essential. Collectors who thought they had just another quarter were stunned when they realized the potential value. One man's pocket change became a life-changing discovery. Dealers, too, had to rethink their entire collections. Coins they had dismissed as ordinary suddenly became priceless. And the excitement didn't stop there. Auctions that once sold ordinary state quarters for a few dollars suddenly reached record-breaking bids. Million-dollar bids. The Arizona quarter story is also about timing. It's about patience, observation, and a little bit of luck. Most people toss quarters into jars or let them fade in circulation. But for those who pay attention, who know what to look for, who study the details, the payoff can be life-changing. Some experts believe this coin could set records for decades to come. It's more than a collectible. It's a symbol of possibility, proof that fortune can be hiding where you least expect it. What makes this coin even more remarkable is its rarity. The Philadelphia Mint produced millions of Arizona quarters in 2008, but only a tiny fraction show this specific anomaly. Some are in perfect condition, while others carry the signs of circulation. Each coin that surfaces is scrutinized, graded, and cataloged, and each new discovery adds to the legend. Imagine stumbling upon one in your change jar today. The very thought sends shivers down the spine of any collector, and the emotional impact can't be overstated. Imagine holding a coin that could be worth millions. Imagine the thrill, the disbelief, the sudden realization that something you thought was ordinary is extraordinary. That is what happened to the first collectors who uncovered the 2008 P Arizona quarter anomaly. Their lives changed in an instant. The stories of astonishment, disbelief, and joy continue to circulate among collectors to this day. How to make sure you don't miss this opportunity. Examine every Arizona quarter you come across. Check the mint mark. Inspect the letters for doubling. Look for unusual misalignments or faint anomalies in the design. Use a magnifying glass or a loupe and take your time. The details matter more than you can imagine. Most people will miss them entirely. But for the few who notice, the reward could be more than just a story. It could be a fortune. Every time a coin like this comes up for auction, collectors watch in awe. Prices climb, excitement spreads, and millions of dollars are literally at stake. And while it may sound unbelievable, it's true. One small piece of metal, almost dismissed as insignificant, can redefine wealth for someone lucky enough to find its own next time you empty your pockets or sift through a jar of change. Remember this story. That seemingly ordinary Arizona quarter could be extraordinary. It could be your ticket to a fortune. It could be the coin that turns a quiet hobby into a thrilling adventure. And the most incredible part? This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It started as just another quarter in someone's pocket change, a small, shiny disc no different than the dozens jingling in jars across the country. Yet, hidden within its simple design was a secret so rare, so shocking, that collectors around the nation scrambled when they discovered it. This is the story of the 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter, a coin that quietly became one of the most valuable quarters in American history. Imagine holding something in your hand that looks ordinary but has the power to transform your life. That's exactly what happened to one collector in Ohio, who was sifting through a batch of change from his grandmother's attic. Among the dusty pennies and nickels, he noticed a quarter with a peculiar detail, a mint mark placement that didn't match any standard coin he had ever seen. At first, he thought it was a misprint or some kind of dirt. But when he examined it under a magnifying glass, his pulse quickened. This small, unassuming coin could be worth millions. What makes the 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter so special? On the surface, it's a beautiful coin honoring one of the most iconic gateways to America's immigrant history. But this quarter hides a rare minting anomaly, a subtle variation in the placement of the P mint mark that only experts recognize. It's nearly invisible to the untrained eye, and yet that tiny difference has turned ordinary quarters into million-dollar treasures. Collectors were shocked when auction houses started calling, offering staggering sums for coins previously thought to be common. And the story gets even stranger. One dealer in New York recounted a frantic call from a client who had stumbled upon this quarter in the bottom of a coffee cup. The collector didn't even realize what he had until he casually mentioned it to a friend, who immediately told him to take it to an expert. By the time the auction house appraised it, the coin had already drawn interest from every major collector in the country. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle overnight. But here's the twist. Most people never notice this detail. They continue to spend quarters, unaware that 1 in 1,000 could be a hidden fortune. The coin story isn't just about money. It's about discovery, about the thrill of uncovering a hidden treasure that could be sitting in your own home. Every scratch, every minor variation in its design could be the key to unlocking unimaginable value. Collectors were stunned when a well-known auction house listed one of these quarters. The description was brief, almost casual, but the bidding exploded within hours. What started as a low estimate of a few $1,000s escalated into a bidding war that ended just shy of $1 million. It was a reminder to the entire numismatic world. Sometimes, the most extraordinary treasures are hiding in the most ordinary places, and it isn't just the auction houses. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins, and private collectors are scouring every jar, every drawer, every forgotten box of coins in search of this rare anomaly. The frenzy is real because the market knows this coin isn't just valuable, it's legendary. One single 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter has the potential to change a life in ways most of us only dream about. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Reports started coming in from across the country of collectors checking their rolls, examining coins under magnification, and finding subtle mint mark variations. Every discovery reignited the excitement and the possibility that someone, somewhere, might be holding a coin worth over $1 million without even knowing it. First, look at the mint mark. The P on this quarter is slightly misaligned compared to standard 2017 P quarters. It may appear off-center or unusually raised. Examine the design lines. Sometimes they are slightly thicker or thinner than normal. These subtle differences can mean the difference between a few cents and $1 million. Most importantly, avoid common mistakes like confusing normal wear with a minting anomaly. Professional verification is key, and even experienced collectors send these coins to certified grading services to confirm their authenticity. Imagine the feeling of realization. The moment you understand that a coin you've carried for years in your pocket isn't just currency, it's a fortune. That thrill, that heart-racing pulse, is exactly what has drawn so many people to the story of the 2017 P. Ellis Island Quarter. It's not just about money. It's about history, rarity, and the chance to touch something extraordinary. One remarkable story comes from a retiree in Florida who found a stack of quarters in an old cash box he had forgotten about. He was planning to use them for his weekly errands when a friend suggested he take a closer look. Under a jeweler's loupe, the subtle mint mark anomaly became apparent. By the end of the week, he had auctioned the coin for nearly $1 million. The transformation was instant. That ordinary moment became a once-in-a-lifetime event. This coin isn't just valuable, it's inspirational. It represents the idea that hidden treasure is everywhere, that sometimes life-changing opportunities are right under our noses, disguised as ordinary objects. Every collector who has held this coin knows the rush of holding something that defies expectation. It's a reminder that patience, curiosity, and attention to detail can turn a simple coin into a symbol of incredible fortune. Look carefully at any 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter in your collection. Examine the mint mark and the design lines. If it seems slightly different, consider professional authentication. Even minor variations can add up to millions of dollars. And remember, the coin's value is not just in its metal or its design, but in the story, the rarity, and the life-changing potential it holds. One man's coffee cup quarter, another man's attic discovery. Each story adds to the legend of the 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter. And the incredible truth? This exact quarter could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Every time you glance at a jar of coins or sift through loose change, remember this story. One tiny detail, one moment of discovery, could reveal a treasure beyond your wildest dreams. The 2017 P. Ellis Island quarter isn't just a coin. It's a chance, a thrill, and $1 million miracle waiting to be found. Right now, somewhere in America, a perfectly ordinary-looking Washington quarter is quietly hiding in plain sight. It doesn't shine. It doesn't scream rare. It doesn't look special enough to stop you from spending it. And yet, the 1997 D Mint Mark Washington quarter has become one of the most whispered about modern coins among serious collectors who know exactly what to look for. Back in 1997, the Denver Mint was striking millions upon millions of Washington quarters. Gas stations handed them out. Grocery stores recycled them endlessly. Arcade machines swallowed them whole. No one was checking dates. No one was checking mint marks. And no one imagined that a tiny mistake made during this routine year would one day turn pocket change into $1 million. Collectors were shocked when the first rumors started circulating that a dealer at a regional coin show noticed something strange. A 1997 D quarter crossed his table that didn't behave like a normal coin under magnification. The details looked slightly off. The surfaces told a story that didn't match the mint's official records. At first, he assumed it was damaged. Then he assumed it was altered. But the more experts looked, the quieter the room became. Because this quarter wasn't damaged, that it was different. And that difference would eventually change everything. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. That as more specialists examined these rare examples, a pattern emerged. A very small number of 1997 D Washington quarters were struck with anomalies so precise, so unusual, that they could only have come from the mint itself. We're talking about rare minting errors that slipped through quality control during a year when production speed mattered more than perfection. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin, not because every 1997 D quarter is valuable, but because the right one can rewrite a person's future. One collector tells the story of sorting loose change on a quiet Sunday afternoon. No expectations, no plan, just habit. When he spotted the 1997 date and the small D mint mark, he almost tossed it into the reject pile. Something told him to look closer. That hesitation may have been worth $1 million. And here's the detail most people miss. Certain high-value examples show dramatic errors, such as off-center strikes combined with die clashes, double design elements that appear ghost-like under magnification, or improperly annealed planchets that caused abnormal texture and color. These are not scratches. These are not wear marks. These are mint-borne fingerprints. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. One verified example, authenticated and encapsulated, ignited a bidding war that left seasoned collectors speechless. The final sale didn't just break expectations. It shattered them. Suddenly, a quarter that once bought a gumball was being discussed in the same breath as rare gold coins and legendary errors worth over $1 million. Collectors were shocked. Skeptics became believers overnight, and the hunt exploded. Every jar of change became a treasure chest. Every glove compartment became a potential miracle. Because the idea that a modern coin could reach this level felt impossible, until it wasn't. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The key is not just the 1997 date. It's not just the D-Mint mark. It's the combination of condition, strike anomaly, and originality. High-grade examples with untouched surfaces are critical. Cleaning destroys value instantly. Polishing kills the story. The million-dollar examples are raw survivors of mint chaos, preserved by accident, not intention. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. As prices climbed, grading standards tightened. Only the most extreme, undeniable errors qualified. And that's what makes this coin so dangerous and so exciting. Thousands of people may have one. Only a handful actually do. One man's pocket change became a million-dollar miracle because he didn't rush. He didn't clean. He didn't dismiss what looked ordinary. And that's the lesson every collector over 30 understands deeply. The older you get, the more you realize that life-changing moments rarely announce themselves. They whisper. To identify this coin, start with the obverse. Look closely at Washington's profile. Any doubling in the lettering, especially in Liberty or I In God We Trust, must appear rounded and raised, not flat or machine-like. Check the rim for irregular thickness or missing sections. Flip the coin and study the eagle. Feathers that appear doubled or distorted are a red flag in the best possible way. Then examine the surface texture. Genuine mint errors often have unusual flow lines or grain patterns that don't match circulation wear. The color should look natural, not shiny, not stripped. And above all, confirm the D-Mint mark placement and shape. Altered coins fail here every time. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Collectors realized that the real treasure wasn't just the coin. It was knowledge, the ability to see what others overlook, the patience to stop